You know what hurts more than being yelled at? Being treated like you're invisible. My name's Cole Harrington. I'm 45, live in Nashville, Tennessee. I work full-time as a senior tech at a Chevy dealership off Old Hickory Boulevard. Long hours, decent pay, and by the time I get home most nights, my shirt's soaked in sweat and my back feels like a busted coil spring. But I don't complain. I was raised to believe that's just what a man does. You show up. You provide. You don't wait for applause. You just take care of what needs to be done. And that's exactly what I've done for 17 years of marriage. I met Jenna at a friend's cookout back in 2005. She was funny, sharp, worked in medical billing back then. Had this way of looking at you like she was reading your mind. We dated fast, got married faster, moved into a small place in Hermitage, and slowly built a life together. Or at least, I thought we did. But lately, it's like I'm sharing a house with someone who doesn't even like me anymore. It wasn't just the affection that disappeared, it was the warmth. It used to be that when I'd come home from a long shift, Jenna would meet me at the door, or at least call out from the kitchen. Maybe even a quick peck on the cheek. These days, she doesn't even look up from her phone. Usually she's on the couch in her robe, scrolling through Instagram Reels or watching some influencer talk about manifesting a high-value lifestyle. Meanwhile, I'm limping through the front door with grease under my fingernails and a six-pack of beer clinking in my hands. I try to stay hopeful, try to stay kind. Last Thursday night, I got home around 7:30. The shop had been slammed. We had a Yukon that needed a full transmission swap, and I'd been hunched over the damn thing for hours. I stopped by Kroger on the way home, grabbed some steak and potatoes because I thought, hey, maybe we could grill together. Like we used to. Simple, right? I come in, set the groceries on the counter. She doesn't move, just scrolling. I walk over, kneel down by the couch, and put my hands gently on her legs. And I say, real soft, hey, missed you today. She flinched, didn't look at me, didn't smile, just said, Cole, don't hug me right now. Seriously, I froze, like someone slapped me, but without using their hands. I sat back a little, looked at her, really looked, and all I saw was someone annoyed I was even breathing near her. I just wanted to be close for a second, I said. She sighed loud, set her phone down like I was the inconvenience. I'm just not in the mood, okay? I'm tired. And honestly, sometimes it feels like you only want physical stuff when you're stressed out. That part, that's what burned. Because it wasn't just rejection, it was judgment. Like I was some needy teenager begging for attention, not a man who's been holding this household up on his damn shoulders. I stood up, went into the kitchen, cooked dinner in silence. She didn't offer to help, didn't come say anything. And when I brought her a plate, she said thanks like she was ordering food at a drive-thru. That night, I laid in bed staring at the ceiling. Jenna was already turned the other way, her body pulled to the edge like even my breathing was too much. That's when it hit me. I was pouring into someone who didn't give a damn if my cup ever ran dry. And yeah, I know marriage has seasons. I know things change. People get tired. But this wasn't just a rough patch. This was her checking out while still expecting me to carry everything. It wasn't just about that hug. It was the years leading up to it. The slow fade. The affection that turned to obligation. The way she'd light up around her friends, but go blank when it was just me and her. You can tell a lot about your place in someone's heart by how they react when you reach for them. I tried to play it cool the next day. Went to work, busted through 2 oil changes and an engine light diagnosis by 10 a.m. My coworker Marcus noticed I was quieter than usual and handed me a Mountain Dew like it was some kind of peace offering. You look like someone kicked your dog, he said. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. Feels like I'm a roommate who pays all the bills and gets none of the love. He nodded slowly. Man, don't ever let a woman make you feel like your presence is a nuisance. That stuck with me all day. I thought back on everything I've been doing for Jenna without question. The credit card bills she racked up for self-care. The Audi lease I signed for her because she didn't want to drive an embarrassing car. The monthly $200 I send to her sister for God knows what, because she asked me to help just until she gets back on her feet. All that giving, all that quiet sacrifice, and all I wanted was a hug. Not even sex, not a vacation, not some grand gesture. Just a hug, just to feel seen. Wanted a tiny shred of affection from the woman I'd built a life with. And instead, I got treated like I was too much. I drove home that night thinking real slow. No music, just the sound of my tires on the road and my thoughts spiraling. And I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg anymore. If I wasn't allowed to reach for her emotionally, then she sure as hell wasn't going to reach for me financially. You know what's funny? A woman can go days acting like you're a stranger, then flip the script the second she needs something. That's exactly what happened with Jenna. After that night on the couch, when she looked me in the face and said, "Don't hug me," like I was annoying her, something in me shifted. Quietly. Not with anger, not with shouting. Just done. I didn't say anything to her that night. I didn't beg for closeness. I didn't follow her around trying to fix what she clearly didn't care to protect. I just stopped chasing. Completely. Next morning, I got up, made coffee like usual, fed Bruno, took a shower, and left for work without a single word. She was still in bed, probably pretending to sleep, or maybe just avoiding me the way she always does when she knows she went too far. I wasn't playing that game anymore. That whole week, I kept my energy to myself. I'd come home after long shifts at the shop, wash up, make dinner, and eat at the small table by the window. Just me and Bruno sitting by the sliding glass door, while Jenna stayed curled up on the couch watching Netflix like the house ran itself. "No, how was your day?" "No, thanks for dinner." Not even a glance. And I didn't ask for it either. You ever hit that point where even silence becomes a type of freedom? That's where I was. Every good night, I used to whisper when I crawled into bed, "Gone." Every morning, "Need anything today?" before heading out? Gone. I went quiet. And let me tell you, when a man who's always been steady goes silent, it hits different. Now here's where it gets interesting. Friday rolls around. I had just finished up a hell of a job. Full brake system replacement on a Silverado that came in shaking like a blender full of gravel. I was tired. My back ached. I just wanted a hot meal, maybe a cold beer, and zero noise. I walked in the door around 6:45 p.m. Jenna was sitting at the kitchen table, something she rarely does unless she's either waiting for food or about to ask for something. She gave me this soft look, like she was easing into the role of sweet wife again. Hair tied back. That fake polite smile. I didn't say a word. Just walked past her and put my keys on the counter. "Hey," she said lightly. I gave her a nod. "You good?" "Yeah," I replied. No emotion. Then she goes, "So I've been thinking, I want to get that new iPhone. The 15 Pro. My battery's been trash lately, and the camera on this one sucks." I just stood there for a second, blinking. She kept going. "They've got this pre-order thing at Verizon, like $300 down if you do the upgrade plan. I figure maybe you could just use the joint card for it, and I'll pay you back." Now, keep in mind, this is 4 days after she told me, to my face, that she didn't want me touching her. Not even a hug. That she wasn't in the mood for closeness. But suddenly, she's in the mood for a favor? I turned, leaned on the counter, arms crossed. "You need money for a phone?" "I mean, not a lot," she replied. "Just to get it started. I'll pay it back next month." I nodded slowly. Then I hit her with it. "Don't ask me for more money. We're not that close." The look on her face? Like someone had slammed the air out of her chest. Total silence. She blinked, tried to laugh it off. "Wait, what?" I said. I repeated, calm as hell, "Don't ask me for more money. We clearly don't have that kind of relationship anymore." That's when it hit her. I wasn't joking. I wasn't angry. I wasn't lashing out. I just meant it. You see, men like me, the quiet, working kind, we don't explode. We absorb. Until one day, we just don't participate anymore. She sat there, stunned. Her lips parted like she wanted to fight back, but nothing came out. For once, she had no comeback. No sarcasm. No gaslighting. So I finished what I had to say. "You made it pretty clear this week, I don't matter to you outside of money and chores. I try to hug you, you shut me down. I talk, you ignore. I keep this house running. Pay every bill, keep your lifestyle comfortable. And the one time I asked for something that didn't cost a dime, you made me feel pathetic. Cole, I didn't mean." "You did," I cut in. "You just didn't think I'd ever say something back." She sat still, staring. Then I grabbed a cold beer from the fridge, popped the top, and walked right past her to the back porch. Bruno followed me, tail wagging, not a care in the world. We sat outside for a good 30 minutes. I watched the sky turn purple over the neighborhood. She never came out. Over the next few days, things shifted hard. She stopped asking for stuff, didn't bring up the phone again, didn't ask for help with her sister's Venmo request, didn't mention the Sephora sale she was texting about the week before. She went quiet, but not in that peaceful way. More like she didn't know how to operate now that the ATM had spoken. I didn't argue. I didn't demand apologies. I just started drawing lines in the sand. And every time she got close to crossing one, I'd politely remind her, respect is earned, not bought. You want to know the real kicker? A few nights later, she finally came over while I was making dinner. Chicken, rice, some veggies. Simple. I always make enough for two. She leaned on the counter and said, "Can I ask you something?" I looked up. She wasn't angry. She looked small, nervous. "What happened to us?" she asked. And I replied, dead honest. "You stopped appreciating me, but never stopped asking for what I give." She looked down, didn't say anything. And in that silence, I knew she finally understood. You ever see someone realize they've been taking you for granted for years, and it finally clicks, but by then, your heart's already halfway out the door? That was Jenna. After I hit her with "Don't ask me for more money. We're not that close," things went real quiet in the house. But not the usual cold shoulder game she used to play. This time, the air felt different. Thicker, heavier, like she was waiting for me to snap. Or maybe for me to apologize. Something. Anything. But I didn't do either. Because for the first time in a long time, I had nothing left to explain. The next morning was a Saturday. I was already up by 6:30, sitting on the porch with my coffee and Bruno laying by my feet. The sky was just starting to turn orange. I like that time of day. It's the only part of my life that still feels mine. Jenna came out in one of those matching sweatsuits she bought online. Hair messy, no makeup, face pale. "You heading out today?" she asked. "Probably." That's all I said. "No, good morning." No smile. I didn't even look at her. I just took another sip of my coffee and stared off at the quiet street like I was waiting for it to tell me something. She stood there for a second like she wanted to say more, but she didn't. Just turned and went back inside. That was the moment she realized this wasn't just a little bump in the marriage. This was a shift in the ground beneath her feet. See, Jenna was used to the version of me who fixed everything. She could roll her eyes, dismiss my affection, dodge my questions, even humiliate me with little jabs, and I'd still come around. Still buy the things she wanted. Still pay her sister's bills. Still fund her little lifestyle because I thought I was doing what a good husband should do. But what nobody tells you is that good men don't get tired because they're weak. They get tired because they carry too much for too long, and they do it quietly. So when they go quiet, it's already over. Over the next few days, I noticed she started trying again, but not in the way that actually meant anything. She'd sit near me during dinner, ask questions about my day in this soft voice that sounded rehearsed. She even tried complimenting me once, said something about how I looked stronger lately, and how the gym must be paying off. I nodded. That was it. No smile, no warmth, just thanks, and I kept eating. Because here's the truth. By the time they try to water the plant, the roots are already dead. Then she tried something new. On Thursday, I came home from work and there were candles lit in the kitchen. Music playing low. She had cooked. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread, but it had been months since she even stepped into the kitchen for anything besides coffee. She stood by the stove like she was in some Hallmark movie. "Thought I'd surprise you," she said with this little smile, like we were newlyweds again. I sat down, ate, didn't say much. She waited until halfway through the meal before dropping the real reason behind the dinner. "I've been thinking a lot about us. I feel like we've gotten off track." I just looked at her. "You think?" She paused, looked down at her plate, then said, "I know I've been distant, cold. I didn't mean to push you away, Cole. I think I got too comfortable, took you for granted." She looked like she was about to cry. And honestly, a few years ago, that would have wrecked me. I would have reached for her hand, told her we'd work it out, promised to do better myself, even when I wasn't the problem. But that night, I just picked up my plate, rinsed it in the sink, and said, "You're a little late." Then I walked out to the porch with Bruno and cracked open a beer. The truth is, I'd already let go. Not in a spiteful way, not out of revenge. I wasn't out to hurt her. I had just seen enough, felt enough, been ignored enough. You can only give so much love into a hollow space before you stop feeling like a man and start feeling like a damn wallet with a heartbeat. She could feel it too. The next few days were her version of panic mode. She started asking about things I liked. Tried sitting next to me on the couch, scrolling less, watching my shows. She even bought a six-pack of my favorite beer and left it in the fridge with a sticky note that said, "For my favorite guy." That's the thing, though. It's easy to love someone after they stop loving you back. It's easy to try when the other person's already packed up emotionally and left without a sound. She tried touch. She tried guilt. She tried kindness. But none of it worked, because she still hadn't done the one thing I needed from her from the beginning. Respect me. I made up my mind that Sunday night. I started quietly pulling things together. My savings, my tools, my clothes, everything that was mine. I didn't tell her. I didn't give her the speech. I just made sure that the next time I left, it would be permanent. The last real conversation we had came on a Wednesday night. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, lacing up my boots for an early shift. She sat up, looked at me through half-tired eyes, and asked, "Cole, do you still love me?" I tied the last lace. Looked at her real calm. I did. Deeply. For years. She nodded slowly, eyes watering up. And now, I grabbed my thermos, stood up, and answered without flinching. Now, I love myself too much to keep begging for crumbs. Then I walked out the door. She didn't follow me, and I knew she wouldn't, because deep down, she realized what most people never do until it's gone. You can push a good man to his limit, but when he finally steps away, he doesn't come back. I never thought I'd be the guy standing in his own kitchen, staring at a woman who used to crave his touch and realizing she didn't even want to be looked at anymore. I'm Mark. Been working as a union electrician for 17 years now. Asheville, North Carolina has been my home since high school. It's a good place, mountains in every direction, quiet streets, hardworking people. I've always been the type to show up early, get my hands dirty, and head home with pride in what I built that day. I wasn't after a fancy life, just something steady, real. I met Claire in the most ordinary way you can imagine, in line at a coffee shop. She was ahead of me, fumbling through her purse, trying to find her card while holding a book under one arm and a smoothie in the other. I covered her drink without thinking. She looked up, smiled, and offered to sit with me that morning to pay me back with conversation. 11 years later, I'd still recognize that smile anywhere. But I couldn't remember the last time she gave it to me. In the beginning, we were fire, not in the cheesy Hollywood way. I'm talking about long talks on our apartment floor, kisses in the car with the windows fogged up, and that kind of closeness where you can't stop touching each other, even if it's just your knees brushing under the table. She made me feel seen, wanted. I wasn't just a guy with a toolbox. I was her man, her protector, her partner. We got married 1.5 years after meeting. Bought a small fixer-upper on the west side of town. I renovated every room with my own 2 hands. She decorated it with warmth and intention. It felt like ours. Then life happened. We had our first kid, Logan, after 3 years. Then Emily came 2 years later. Claire switched to remote work when Emily was born, doing admin work for a real estate agency. I picked up longer shifts to cover the rising bills. Somewhere between diaper changes, car repairs, school pickups, and microwave dinners, we forgot how to look at each other. I noticed it first in the little things. She'd flinch when I kissed her shoulder in the kitchen. She stopped wearing perfume, said it was for going out, but we hadn't gone out in months. Her phone was always in her hand, and when we finally had a night to ourselves, she'd pick a crime doc on Netflix, curl up on her side of the couch, and fall asleep before I could say a word. I tried brushing it off. Figured maybe she was just exhausted. I mean, raising 2 kids, juggling work, and managing a house isn't easy. I gave her space. I took over bedtime. I made sure she had time for yoga on Saturdays. I kept telling myself, this is just a phase. She'll come back to me. But she didn't. One night, after the kids were down, I poured her a glass of wine, lit a candle in the living room, and played one of those playlists we used to listen to on late drives. She smiled, a polite, tight-lipped smile, and said, "That's sweet, babe." Then she kissed my cheek, said she was tired, and went upstairs. I sat alone on that couch for hours. Not angry, just hollow. Like the woman who once couldn't wait to crawl into my arms, now couldn't stand to share air with me. But I didn't give up. I took her out the next weekend, got a sitter, drove her to that little Italian place in Biltmore Village where we had our second anniversary. I even shaved, put on the same cologne she used to say made her weak in the knees. But the whole dinner felt like I was dragging a ghost through a memory. She spent half the time talking about work deadlines and the other half checking her notifications. I reached across the table, tried to hold her hand. She let me, but her fingers stayed stiff, unmoved. On the drive home, I asked gently, "Do you still feel close to me?" She looked out the window and said, "I don't know. I've changed, Mark. I'm tired all the time. I don't feel like that anymore." I swallowed hard. Like what? She shrugged. Desire. That spark. I'm just not there right now. Not with anyone. That line stuck with me for days. Not with anyone. Like that was supposed to make it better. Like stripping me of my manhood was somehow fair if it was equally distributed. The thing is, I never expected fireworks every day. I knew life would get messy, dull even, but I never thought I'd feel like a stranger in my own marriage. So I tried to meet her where she was. I offered therapy. She said she didn't have time. I suggested date nights. She rolled her eyes and said, "What for?" I gave her space. Took the kids out more. Tried to give her rest. But every effort felt like shouting into a void. She didn't even argue. She just shut down. One night, I came home early. Had stopped at the store to grab steaks, her favorite red wine, and a chocolate cake the kids love. It was a Thursday. Nothing special. I just missed her. Walked through the door expecting maybe something. A smile. A spark. Hell, a conversation. She barely looked up from her laptop. "Oh, you're back early." That was it. I stood in the kitchen, bag in hand, and asked, "Claire, when was the last time you even wanted to be close to me?" She didn't answer, just stared at the screen. I walked over, gently closed the laptop. "Look at me," I said. She looked. Tired eyes. No warmth. "I'm not trying to pressure you, but I need to know, do you even want to be with me like that anymore? As a man? As your husband?" She let out a sigh, the kind you give when you're being bothered. "I'm just not in that place right now. I don't want intimacy. I don't feel that drive. I can't fake something I don't feel." And that's when something inside me snapped. Quietly. No shouting. No threats. Just a sudden clarity that I had been slowly bleeding for years in a relationship that refused to stop the cut. So I said the one thing I never thought I'd say to my wife. "Then maybe I'll look for someone who does." Her face changed, instantly. Not rage. Not tears. Just disbelief. Like I wasn't allowed to say that. Like I was breaking some silent contract where I suffer in silence forever. I walked out. No bag. No dramatic slam of the door. Just the sound of my boots on the hardwood as I stepped out into the night air. I ended up driving around town for hours. Past the school where I dropped Logan off. Past the frozen yogurt shop Emily always begs for. Past the life I thought I was building with someone who no longer saw me. That night, I slept in the back of my truck. Woke up sore, cold, and more clear-headed than I had in years. I wasn't walking away out of revenge. I wasn't trying to scare her. I just finally accepted that I couldn't beg for love that didn't want to stay. That night wasn't the end, but it was the beginning of something else. And she felt it too. I saw it in her eyes before I left. Something shifted, and neither of us was ready for what came next. It didn't hit me right away. When Mark said, "Then maybe I'll look for someone who does," I just sat there, stunned, almost amused, like he couldn't possibly mean it. But the door closed behind him, and it was quiet. Too quiet. I sat there on the couch for a few minutes, staring at the blank TV screen. No yelling, no fighting, no begging. Just those words. Flat, final, serious. And that's when the silence started feeling like pressure, like something heavy pushing down on my chest. At first, I told myself he was bluffing, that he just needed to cool off. He'd come back home in a few hours. Maybe sleep in the guest room like he'd done a couple of times after our bigger disagreements. But this time was different. I felt it. The way he said it, calm, steady, like a man who'd made up his mind. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared he'd cheat or leave forever, but because I realized I couldn't read him anymore. I used to know his every move, every tone. I knew when he was hurt, angry, frustrated. But now, He was still. That terrified me more than if he had slammed the door in my face. The next morning, he didn't come home. No text. No call. His truck wasn't in the driveway. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom, his boots still by the door. But he was gone. The kids asked where Dad was during breakfast. I told them he had a late work shift, a lie that tasted like chalk in my mouth. I tried to focus on work, answered a few emails, pretended to care about quarterly spreadsheets. But my mind kept drifting, not just to Mark, but to the way I had been treating him for months. Maybe years. I don't even know when it started. I used to feel everything so intensely. I craved him, missed him during the day, looked forward to just laying my head on his chest at night. But life became survival. Wake up, feed the kids, log into work, cook, clean, crash. The love didn't vanish. It just dulled. And instead of talking about it, I buried it. I got good at ignoring his attempts. I'd flinch when he touched me, not because I hated it, but because I felt exhausted, disconnected from myself. I couldn't even explain it, so I dismissed it. I started avoiding him without realizing it. Phone in hand when he walked in a room. Always too tired. Saying, "Not tonight," out of habit, not thought. Somewhere along the line, I stopped seeing him as my partner and started seeing him as background noise. But now he was gone, and the silence was deafening. That night, I looked at old photos. Trips we took before the kids. His smile, the real one, with that crooked left dimple. The way he used to grab my waist when I passed him in the kitchen. I couldn't remember the last time he did that. But more painfully, I couldn't remember the last time I let him. The next morning, I checked his Instagram. He never posted much, but I saw a photo in his story. Him at a bar. Nothing flashy. Just a glass of beer, the corner of a dartboard in the background. But there was a reflection in the mirror behind the bar. A woman. Blonde. Laughing. Sitting next to him. I stared at that image for too long. My throat tightened. I wasn't mad. I wasn't jealous. I was terrified. Terrified that he might feel with her what he stopped feeling with me. Terrified that she might appreciate the version of him I had taken for granted. I sat on the edge of the bed and realized something I had never dared admit out loud. I stopped trying. I stopped trying to be his wife, his friend, his person, and I had no idea how to fix it. 2 days passed. Then 3. He didn't come home. Didn't ask about the kids. Didn't even reply to my "Are you okay?" text. And that's when the panic truly set in. Because deep down, I always thought he'd wait. That no matter how cold I became, he'd stay loyal, dependable, always there. I had confused his patience for weakness, his consistency for obedience. But now he was gone, and I realized he was never weak. I was just blind. That Friday night, I poured myself a glass of wine and started rehearsing what I'd say if he ever came back. Apologize? Beg? Blame stress? Blame hormones? But there was no version of the truth that could clean up the damage I'd caused. On Sunday, I heard the front door open. My heart jumped. I ran down the stairs too fast, like I was 16 again, rushing to meet a crush. There he was. Same boots. Same hoodie. Holding a duffel bag. No expression. I tried to act normal. "Hey," I said, my voice cracking. "Just grabbing some things," he said. No eye contact. He moved like a stranger. "Can we talk?" He didn't stop packing. "About what?" "I've been thinking," I said, stepping closer. "I know I've been distant. I know I've pushed you away. But it's not because I don't love you. I've just been overwhelmed. Lost." He zipped the bag. "We've all been overwhelmed, Claire." "I miss you," I whispered. That made him pause. "I want to fix this," I said. "I want to be close again. I want you again. I don't know how I let it get this far." He finally looked at me. His eyes were tired. Cold. Not angry, just empty. "I tried," he said. "I begged with my actions. I begged in silence." He looked right past me. Tears filled my eyes. I stepped forward and placed my hand on his chest. He didn't move. "I'm here now," I whispered. He blinked, slowly. "Now you're here." After I stopped waiting, I leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't soft or sweet. It was desperate. I kissed him like I used to. Like I should have, months ago. Years ago. I felt his lips on mine for a moment, but they didn't kiss back. He pulled away. "I needed this from you before I stopped needing anything at all." Then he picked up his bag and walked out again. I collapsed on the couch and cried. Not because he left, but because I knew I did this. Not with some affair. Not with screaming or betrayal. but with slow, steady indifference, with neglect, with silence. For years, I thought I had control, that I could decide when and how we reconnected, that he'd always be there, waiting for the signal. But the truth? I had been treating my husband like a backup plan. And now, I wasn't his anymore. After that last kiss, the one she gave me in a rush of desperation, I knew exactly what I needed to do. It wasn't revenge in the dramatic sense. I didn't want to hurt her, didn't want to cheat, or post some cryptic "look at me now" story on Instagram. What I wanted was something quieter, sharper. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt for the last 3 years. Invisible, unimportant, like love had become optional. So I disappeared. Not physically, but emotionally. I didn't block her. I didn't argue. I just stepped away. I moved into a 2-bedroom rental near the South French Broad area. Simple spot, close to the job site. The place smelled like fresh paint and had 0 memories attached to it. No toys on the floor. No scented candles. No wedding photos on the wall. Just peace. For the first time in over a decade, I woke up and had silence. Not the cold, tension-filled silence I'd known in my marriage, but a calm kind. A clean slate. I spent the next few weeks rebuilding myself. Not in a cliché self-help way, but in a grounded, everyday way. I started hitting the gym before work. Nothing crazy. Just showing up, lifting, pushing myself. I stopped eating whatever junk I found in the fridge and actually cooked again. Eggs, steak, grilled chicken, stuff that made me feel strong again. I started hanging out with Mason more. He was the only person I told the full story to, and even then, I didn't have to say much. He saw it on my face. We'd grab drinks after work, throw darts, watch the game. I didn't talk about Claire unless he asked. And when he did, I kept it short. She kissed me the other night. I told him once. He looked up from his beer. You kiss her back? No, I said. It felt like a stranger touching me. He nodded. Then you're done. And I was. But she wasn't. 2 weeks after I left, Claire started texting. First just checking in. Hey, how are you? Then it turned emotional. I've been thinking about everything. Then came the "I miss you" and the late night "can we talk" text that she never used to send, even when we were living under the same roof. I didn't respond. Not to be cruel, but because I had nothing left to say. I had poured everything into that marriage until I was empty. Now, she wanted it all back. Not because she loved me more, but because she realized what it felt like to be dismissed. And the silence was eating her alive. One night, I came home from work, showered, sat on the couch with a beer, and scrolled through my phone. There were 3 missed calls from her. 1 voicemail. Her voice cracked in the message. I know I messed things up. I should have seen how far I was pushing you away. I was just lost, Mark. I didn't mean to make you feel unloved. Please don't give up on us. You're still my person. I sat there for a long time after that message. Not angry, just done. That's when I met Riley. It wasn't planned. She was a barista at the cafe next to the supply store I always hit before heading to the job site. One morning, I walked in early, still wearing my work hoodie and jeans, and she smiled at me like I wasn't just another customer. Rough morning? She asked. Always, I replied. She laughed. Extra shot of espresso then. She started learning my name. My order. She'd ask about my job, laugh at my dry jokes, compliment my beard even when it looked like crap. It was small, but it reminded me that I was still a man. Still someone who could be wanted. Seen. We started talking more. Then she invited me to a small bonfire gathering with her friends. I went. No pressure, no drama, no baggage. With Riley, everything felt easy. One night, I told her I was separated, not divorced yet, not emotionally available in the traditional sense. She nodded, didn't push. Said, I'm not here to fix anyone. But if you want company while you rebuild, I'm around. I didn't know I needed to hear that, but I did. Meanwhile, Claire kept trying. I started getting long texts. She'd send pictures of the kids, Logan winning a soccer medal, Emily in a school play. I'd reply short and polite, tell them I'm proud. Nothing more. Then the messages shifted tone. I feel like I'm losing you. Please don't make this the end. Let's try counseling. But I'd already asked for that before. She said no, dismissed it like it was silly. Now, suddenly, she wanted to fight for something she let rot for years. She finally asked to meet. Said she was in a therapy, working on herself. I agreed to a coffee. She looked nervous when I walked in, like someone waiting for a verdict. "You look good," she said. "Thanks," I said. "Been focusing on myself." "I can see that. You look lighter." There was a long pause. She leaned forward. "I meant what I said. I miss you. I'm getting help. I've realized a lot. About us. About me." I nodded slowly. "I'm glad. I want to try again," she said, her eyes watering. "I know I push you away, but I don't want to give up on our family." And right then, in the middle of that cafe, next to the bakery case and the hum of espresso machines, I felt absolutely nothing. No anger. No love. Just calm detachment. "I needed you to care when I was drowning," I said softly. "You didn't even notice. And now I'm supposed to forget everything because you finally see what I went through?" "I'm not asking you to forget," she whispered. "I'm asking for a second chance." I shook my head. "You had years of chances." She looked like she'd been punched. Her lip quivered. She reached across the table, grabbed my hand. "Please," she whispered. "I still love you." I pulled my hand away gently. "I don't believe you. I think you missed the idea of me. The version that stuck around no matter how invisible you made him feel." Tears rolled down her cheek. But I stood up. Not cruel, just final. "Take care of yourself, Claire." That was the last time I saw her in person. 6 months passed. I filed for divorce. Peacefully. No drama. I took care of the kids, paid support, showed up when they needed me. But Claire? She faded into the background, the way I once did. Now, I'm still with Riley. She never tried to fix me. She just saw me. And Claire? She sends a message every few weeks. Still says she dreams about us. That she regrets it all. That she wishes she could go back. But I don't reply. Because the most powerful revenge is becoming the man she never thought would leave, and watching her realize he's never coming back.